Hello, everyone. Thank you for listening to this message. I'm going to talk about New Jerusalem, the real one that's going to be taking place right here in the United States. And that the people that will be in power in New Jerusalem will be those that are currently called the descendants of American slaves. And there's other acronyms, but I'm using the one from the original gentleman who coined the term descendants of American slaves, as well as we are the true 12 tribes of Judah. And we are the ones that are the holders and all that are the inheritors or heirs to the promise of a promised land and restoration from the fall. So today you have heard terms like smart cities and about 15-minute cities. And I want to expound to you that that type of technology and that type of building that has been set in place in the hands of the anointed of Christ's kingdom administrators is going to be one that's going to be beneficial not only to the children of Yah, but also to the rest of the world. A couple of days ago, I was driving around and doing my business, and some of my business in some of the well-to-do areas of the city that I live in here in Northern California. And everywhere I was going in the upper middle class areas, I there was one utility truck after another where they were installing cameras on the lights, on buildings, um, on the roads. I mean, it was just everywhere in the rich areas that I was in. And I thought, holy, 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 you have really set up this state. You have really set up this state. And I was reminded about years ago, maybe about 8 years ago, I happened upon a video of a gentleman that was explaining about 15-minute cities. And what he was elaborating on is that these cities would be one that they wouldn't cause pollution, that it would be high tech, and that the benefits of such a thing um, about how where you'd be able to walk to certain places so you would get exercise, walk to your grocery stores, walk to the libraries, walk to where you do your business, so to speak. And then that the homes would be in such a way that that it would be conducive to people actually interacting with one another. So when I was at the park and I was walking around and I was looking at some of these areas, the creator brought up into my mind is that there will be these cities. You guys will be given the plans to enact these measures. And as a matter of fact, I'm laying the groundwork for all of you so that all of you will be living in your family communes. What does that mean? That means that the way that New Jerusalem is going to be divided up is that not only by the tribes, but within those tribes about will be divided up in regards to family. So our cousins, aunts, and uncles, mothers, and fathers will be gathered together in these small 15-minute cities. Not to be prisoners, but it will be for our restoration and uplift. What we'll be working on, the first things is one, reconnecting, two, healing from all the dysfunction of our families. And another thing that the Creator brought up for us, or brought up for me, was and us was it will be along the lines of there's a wonderful lady by the name of Ayala Van Zant. Please forgive me if I mispronounced her name, but she had a show called, I believe, Fix My Life, where she would bring brothers and sisters together, people from all walks of life who were disconnected because of family disputes. And she had a nice formula, imperfect though it may be, of how you would communicate and be able to confront and resolve and begin to heal these issues. Now, I want you to understand, under Christ's kingdom, that's going to be done on a larger scale. And these people, we would have been made perfect so that they can use those tools to go into the imperfect families of descendants of American slaves and begin to heal those old wounds that have been allowed to fester and allowed to tear families apart. And of course, we had this government that was working to do that. I mean, they really did a job on, especially in the 70s and 80s when they brought after the civil rights to tear us apart. They were successful in doing so, and so these types of things will um, our cities will be. In such a way that yes, we are going to be surveilled, we are going to be watched, but not for evil intent. We are going to be watched so that we can, the laws of this land is going to be, or in this New Jerusalem, are going to be for our uplift, not for slamming us down and slapping us down. Some of it is going to be hurtful because we're going to have to confront some things. No one's perfect, but it is to hurt to heal. It's almost like when you go to the doctor and you have a broken bone and that doctor has to set it. They always say, this is going to hurt a little bit, right? But they have to but they have to set that bone in place. They can try to anesthetize it as best they can, but there's some things that you have to feel in order to denote to them that they did it right, right? Or that it's going to take the healing effect. And so, we are going to have to be be ready. So we're going to have to be ready for that, right? There are so many programs, like for detoxing from alcohol. There are many different 12-step self-help groups out there, 12-step programs for facing every ill that has been plagued upon us. That is going to be the first order of things, right? Along with making sure that we have livable communities, that we have access to food, clean food and water, real food and water, that all the amenities are given to us in order to live, in order to thrive. Every available thing for New Jerusalem will be made ready for us and ready for the kingdom of the Most High to begin to uplift us out of that which has literally pounded us into oblivion. So, a lot of these cities, there are examples of that in real time. You'll find them in places like Sweden and Norway, where they fashion their cities to where it is conducive to um, the way that it's built, not so much the people, but the way that it's built is conducive to you riding your bike so that you're getting exercise, to you walking to the parks so that there's a healing in that of looking at beauty, of being around trees and flowers and hearing birds, doing their bird business, and even the different butterflies and insects moving around to integrate us into that. And do you know that the animals themselves, when they're going to, if not already, they're going to notice the change and that they're going to interact with us without fear. But I've even noticed that sometimes little squirrels would just come up to me, they'll just look at me, whether or not I have food, right? Birds that they don't fly away. I mean, I've had some that would just literally fly onto my car and just sit in front of my window. So they're going to react to us in a more friendly, more holistic nature. They will not be a danger to us because the spirit of New Jerusalem will not make us a danger to them, and they will sense that. Um, This system that is now in its last death throes is a system that is greedy and selfish. It's a hoarding system. It is not about selflessness and goodwill to all men in the manner of love. It is about greed and pride. The system of New Jerusalem that really only the Hebrew tribes, the natives, the true natives of this land can bring about because it's in our hearts, even in our perfect state, being one of decency, one of respect that can only come out from us. Even in our insanity, we do display that spirit of forgiveness. That's in spirit of, if we can do it right, we would want to go toward that. That's why you find a lot of us in churches. It's not because, that there's a dysfunction, but because in our core, we want rightness to thrive. We want the wrongness and sin to be punished and to be dealt with justly. And so in New Jerusalem, we are going to be afforded that. And the millions of us that now inhabit North America right now, and even there are those of us that are out throughout the rest of the world, not as many as there are here on the mainland. But there was something that was brought to my attention again, a YouTube site that stated about perception. And so it was basically about stacking 8 billion people shoulder to shoulder. And I may have mentioned this in my other audios, but I want to re-say this. And that if we were to do that, in a line, not in a, like in a square grid, shoulder to shoulder in rows, that if you were to do that and all 8 billion people, that they can fit into New York and Manhattan and still have some room left over. And so the perception of this world is not it's a perception of lies. It's not a perception of truths. And New Jerusalem is going to bring out the truth and going to bring out the real reality in the real timescapes that have been completely destroyed and ignored, right? We are going to, it's going to, as one commentary always says, things will come back into remembrance. And because one, will have the angels there working with us, and so they'll be helping us. And two, the artifacts that are still within the earth will also be brought out to the fore to us. So again, the main thing to take away is that we will be reconnected as a family. We will be brought in, and all of our time is going to be one, learning about what the truth is and what the lie has been, learning about how this universe, how our planet actually operates, or reclaiming that, and also to our connection to the Most High and our connection between one another. One another will be reestablished, and that all available means will be garnered in that section. So what I'm saying is that in all the technology that's coming out, don't be afraid, because it's going to be put into our hands. So even that surveillance, that's to surveil us. That's to make sure that the administrators, who I believe, what's being brought to my mind is that it's going to be 144,000 of them here on the earth, that are going to be mirrored or paired with the 144,000 that's in the heavens, and that each one of us will be paired with that person. We will be the front facing of the visible for the invisible. Okay. And some of these people that are the visible people are many of them are on some of these platforms or have released on other platforms, have released their information, right? They're just not giving the shine that some of the craziness that's being given the shine to, but we will soon enough. Um, so they'll be mirroring that person, and quite frankly, I know this is going to be outlandish, but it could be true that and why not, that we'll be able to communicate with these beings. And there's also another anointed one that I been connected with, is that on the other side of the veil, they'll be able to illuminate in front of us and actually speak one-on-one with us and tell us and give us the instruction of how to govern the nation of New Jerusalem first and foremost, and then eventually throughout the world. And by the way, the millions of descendants of slaves that will be gathered in New Jerusalem, each one of you will be charged with at least 10 or probably even more people throughout the world, because at some point, what happens in New Jerusalem will then happen throughout the rest of the globe. And here's the last thing I'll say to knock your socks off. And at some point, that outworking will then go into those that have perished, that did not go to heaven and didn't go to hell, okay? And hell is right here on earth, by the way, but that's a whole nother subject. but that those that were in the grave will then be called up out the grave, and that your work will be even greater. So it's not only that your awakening and your recovery process is not just for only just for you and your family, for those of us, but it's for the greater globe, right? It's for all the peoples of the world. Although Armageddon is going to cause a great loss of life, it doesn't mean that they'll be shut off from being redeemed. They'll be able to be caught up, and every black person or every descendant of American slave will be charged with other people that they will have to deal with or will have to engage for their recovery, and so that they have every possible chance for a long, long life. Why? Because ultimately, this will possibly span out to the greater universe. And we'll probably let's just start with and I'll end with this. Let's just start with the galaxy that they say, just in our imperfect state, white folks say that there are about 100 million stars in the Milky Way galaxy. Okay. Now, if we were just to take about a percentage of that, of the worlds there, you have about at least what 10 million worlds, maybe that are possibly habitable. And if we are to find out the breadth and width of the war that went on in heaven, we're going to find that a lot of other worlds were affected by the demons, by this army that went after God, right? And went after God and that army. So, and we may be those first fruits. It says that we are the first fruits, right? So what does that mean? That means that possibly we'll be taking the show on the road when the whole globe, when the whole earth is come under the rule of the Most High, and righteousness is raining down like a mighty stream. Then we'll be in every race will be then able to go out to the rest of this galaxy, and again, whoever knows how, whatever else, in order to get them, also give them the gift of perfection and everlasting life. So this is the reason why we are going through the things that we are going through. I'll expand on that a little bit more in probably another audio, but I think for something like that, most people can't really comprehend that that would be the greater outworking and how that would look. Because they don't want to believe it. I mean, they really want, I guess, die and maybe go to heaven, and I don't know, I guess do whatever there. I guess the same thing. I don't know, but there's a reason why we were made on the earth to begin with. The whole thing where it says, "Let us make man in our own image," female and male they were made, and then you had the second creation of Adam and Eve, and having them in a Garden of Eden. There has to be a reason or purpose that has been left out of the holy writings of why we were made anyway. What is the purpose of us for being here in this dimensional shift? Why are we here in this universe? It can't be to just die and then go somewhere else. I mean, you have to ask the question, well, why don't you just become an angel? I mean, there's the distinctions there that we have to allow for. And this is a grand, an awesome universe that we live in. I go to the question again, don't you want to see what that's like? Don't you want to see what the Creator created? Before you check out, just asking for a friend. So anyway, we have a lot to think about, a lot to consider. And yeah, there may not be a Christmas for 2026 because between now and then, um, you know, something else may have happened. Something else may have happened. And it goes to explain why the things are happening now and why the moves that these white people are making, why they're doing that. So yeah, I can go on and on, but I'll stop now. Thanks.